What's up, everybody? J Heat Sports Media coming at y'all again with that fire as always, spitting the hot topics and getting the sports conversation started. Y'all know what I'm talking about: football, basketball, and boxing. Let's get into it. So recently, it's been a hot topic coming up for LeBron James. Him and Stephen A. Smith been going back and forth. Apparently, recently when LeBron James, just the other night or 2 games ago for the Lakers, they went to play the Miami Heat where he used to play, the location of the decision when he decided to go there from Cleveland. And he made a statement about how he thought that organization was first class all the way. They did a lot for him, and he really likes and appreciates and loves the organization, but that if he had never went to Miami, he still would have been LeBron James. No different. That got Stephen A. and even Shannon Sharpe up in arms that why would he say something like that? Obviously, Miami shaped his career because people will tell you if it wasn't for Dwayne Wade and his leadership, LeBron would have never learned to be a true leader. He wouldn't have been a champion without that stacked Miami Heat squad he was playing on. And because of that, without those championships, he wouldn't be LeBron James, is essentially what they're saying. And he wouldn't have been the leader and the killer in the clutch that he can be, even when some people hate on him and say he's not. LeBron came back at those comments from Shannon and Stephen A. and said, he doubled down on it and said, I'm chosen. I am who I am, and I would have always been. He said, even without Miami, even if I'd have had less rings, I would have dominated start to finish regardless, because I am that dude, basically. Now, I think you look at this a few different ways, especially when he prefaced it about the rings, that he might not have as many rings, but he'd still be that guy. I don't think you can fault LeBron for saying that he would have been a dominant player. The guy that averages 27 to 28 points a game, gets you 7 rebounds, 7 assists every night. Maybe he'll get you a block and a steal. He's dominant on both ends of the floor. In the prime of his career, checking all 5 positions. No question, Miami didn't make him that player. He was that in Cleveland before he got to Miami. He was already an all-around player, and he was still growing. Now, I do agree to an extent the public, or fans, if you will, would look at him differently with less championships, because that's what we do. If you don't win a lot of championships, it affects your career. You're the greatest power forward of all time when you got 5 championships and you're Tim Duncan, but Karl Malone, without those championships, people will question if he's even number 2 these days. But Karl Malone was a phenomenal player. Guys like Patrick Ewing, who didn't win a championship, Allen Iverson, who didn't win a championship, they aren't seen quite in the light of which some true fans of them may view them as dominant as they were, because they didn't get the chip done in the end, and they get seen as somehow that had something to do with them as a leader. I think LeBron James is looking at it differently, just him as a complete individual and how dominant he would have been, and he's not worried too much about the eyes of the fan in terms of his championship status. But I'll go a step further. I think he would have been the player he was going to be, because I always thought he was that dude before he got to Miami. I wasn't hard on LeBron for making a decision as some were, because I saw what led up to that. Now let's go through that really quickly. He started out the chosen one, as he said. Nobody had more pressure coming in ever in the history of basketball, and it was off the break. He was the next guy being looked at as, is he going to be like Mike, right? As a rookie, he came in, did big things, and got exponentially better each year. In 3 years, he had a team that wasn't that great around him, truthfully. Even if you say some of the guys he had on the team, he had something to do with them being there, which is true. They weren't a bunch of all-star caliber players, which all the greats he's compared to, like a Jordan, a Magic, a Bird, had that to create the dynasties they were a part of that make them the great stars we know them to be. LeBron didn't have that. By year 4 in 2007, he beat a championship caliber squad in the Pistons with a team that was maybe the worst talent-wise. Pros, don't let me disrespect them, great guys, but for a championship level team, they were just role players. Him and Allen Iverson did one of the greatest things I ever seen in getting teams to the finals with the guys they had around him. And LeBron might have had more challenges due to the guys around him than even Iverson had. And he went through that Pistons team and got there. After that, the Boston Celtics go and they do what all great dynasties do, built a dynasty of all-stars. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and also struck well in the draft with Rajon Rondo, who turned out to be part of a 4-man all-star squad. LeBron couldn't beat them with that team he had in Cleveland. And even though he played well enough to have him in the #1 seed the years preceding 2008, the one hiccup you could say he had was against Orlando in the playoffs. Dwight Howard's team, which was evenly matched, but LeBron was the best player on the floor. Maybe he should have won that one, or at least got to the championship, where he would have lost to Kobe, mind you, because Kobe's team was stacked as well. Way more than LeBron. And then the Celtics, once Garnett got healthy in 2010, they were back at it. LeBron couldn't beat them, so he had to go somewhere. Let's say he doesn't go to Miami. People say he wouldn't be the same. LeBron says he would be. I agree with LeBron, and even more so than maybe even he's saying. I think LeBron had the talent, and he was an all-around guy who was a pass first at times, shoot first at times, one of the most well-balanced stars in the history of the league, if not the most well-balanced, on both ends. He just needed other all-stars around him and coaching and role players that can play some D and hit open jump shots like most dynasty-type squads, most legit championship squads. If he doesn't go to Miami, he was trying to get Chris Bosh to come to Cleveland last I checked, so he wanted to do it there. It was a good deal because Pat Riley said, I could get you, your boy Wade, and Bosh all here together, so he took it. But let's say you don't go play with Wade or Bosh. He could have went to Orlando with Dwight Howard, who was an all-star, the best center in the league. He could have went and played with his guy Melo in New York. Maybe brought on another guy over there, or at least just him and Melo. If he's with Melo in New York, I'm here to tell you, in that 4-year stretch after he left Cleveland, if his decision was to go to New York, I think with him and Melo on the same team, as long as you put some role players around him and the coaching is decent, and LeBron's a coach on the floor, remember, so he helps with that, they probably would have got a championship or two together because Melo was in his prime at that point. I think all LeBron needed was the right pieces around him, and that would have been key. So I think he still would have been that dude, went back to Cleveland, did what he did. It just would have been a different look. Same story, different scenery. Let me know what y'all think. All right, that's all the time I got. Y'all know what it is, and you know who you looking for. J-Heat Sports Media. Remember to like, subscribe, or get at me in the comments. Let's go back and forth. You know I'm on YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok.